enough time, and when the others come, they can join and listen. Good evening. Thank you all for finding time and joining our webinar. My name is Nida Türkelay. I'm an English language teacher at Burdur Ercan Akın Science High School. We organize this webinar as a dissemination activity of our eTwinning project, e-ways of English language education. And it's so nice to welcome all of you here. And our topic is engaging students' interest in online English lessons. Before we start, let me explain how you can talk to us during the webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, just write them to the chat box, please. Our speakers will have short breaks to ask you some questions during the presentation, and we will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, and they will answer your questions if you have. Now we can begin.
Yes.
Yes, we have two special guests. All of you, I think, know them. Dear lecturer, Dr. Özlem Köprülü from Dokuz University School of Foreign Languages, and lecturer assistant Professor Dr. Berna Güryay, Dokuz University Department of English Language and Education. Now, Berna Hocam, I will make you host to share.
Yes, very much.
Yes.
I was waiting for it.
Okay, now you are the host, Berna Hocam.
It's great to see you, Hande and Tuba.
Okay, now. We are ready.
Okay. Thank you, Nida Hocam. First of all, hi and welcome, dear colleagues, our ex-students and now our colleagues. Today in our presentation, we will try to give you some ideas and show you some activities that may help to motivate your students in online teaching process. With this COVID-19 pandemic, we all have found ourselves in an online teaching process, and all teachers are in the same position. We are all in the same situation, and from time to time it can be very difficult to decide where to begin, how to give effective online classes. I would like to begin our presentation with a question. How do you feel about teaching online? If you want, you can speak or you can write in the chat box. Do you feel happy, disappointed, frustrated, or other feelings? If there are any volunteers to share their feelings, emotions.
Yes, they are writing here. Safa, you say stressed. Feel
Stressed. Yes, you're right. Frustrated. I feel happy actually, but when I have some technical problems, I feel stressed. Good, weird at first, but was a good area. Good. Okay. Okay. First, nervous because it is much more complicated than face-to-face teaching. You're right. I love that experience. In fact. Okay. Okay, thank you for your answers. I think book-based teaching, yes. As far as I can see, most of our teachers have similar feelings and emotions about teaching. Of course, this teaching online is unexpected for all of us, but professionally, it can also give some opportunity to teachers to find out new ways of interacting with their students, and also it gives some kind of flexibility to teachers. Now, let's get some important principles, okay, in online teaching. As you can't wait to go back to normal. The important principles. The first one, online teaching environment must be learner-driven and not technology-driven. A suitable online environment should focus on our learners' needs, and we should use technology to support our learners' needs. Is that in online teaching, you can deliver, or you should deliver instructions both verbally and in written format. And you should also check your students' understanding by asking them to repeat what you have said, or you can ask them to write what you have said in the chat box. The third one, exaggerate your facial expressions and tone of voice slightly, but slightly, so students stay alert and interested in what you say, but do not overdo it, because when we overdo something, it loses its interest.
Özlem hocam, for the participants, can you mute your microphones, please?
Yes, I think there are some background noise.
Yes, yes. Okay, you can go on, Özlem hocam.
Thank you. Try to have an encouraging facial expression and a smiling face, as you know, which this is really important, both in face-to-face and in online education. And the others. Make sure to mix your study, your activities, exercises with some energizing games, language games, and try to make your lessons fun, because fun activities reduce learners' stress. And when our activities are meaningful and purposeful at the same time, it motivates our students to share their ideas, and it also provides them with some real communicative situations. Okay, and try to have your students share their ideas. As a teacher, you can decide on the general and main topics, and then you can allow your students to decide on the subtopics. In this way, you can give your students an opportunity to take your own responsibility for their own learning, and they can relate the topic to their own experience, which is known as personalization. You can also use flipped learning from time to time. Sometimes you can see that flipped classroom. What is flipped learning? Imagine that you're going to teach the simple present tense in your next lesson. You can ask your students to study at least the form of the simple present tense. But of course, if they want, they can study the usage and other things. And when they come to the lesson, and when you teach it, this will be the second time for them to meet the simple present tense, for example. So they will be acquainted with the topic. In this way, it will be easier for them to understand the topic, to keep it in their mind, or maybe they will be more interested or willing to join in the activities. And the last principle, we should use a variety of inputs, including videos, audios, narration, and visuals. Now let's have a look at some tools that we can use in online teaching. Screen share, we can use it to show our documents, slides, videos, so all class members can see what we share. Chat box, in the chat box, you can ask questions, you can elicit answers from students, you can see who is ready, you can display errors, you can praise your students, you can give your written instructions, etc. Whiteboard, you can use it like a board in our real classrooms. You can write, draw, redo, undo, etc. And you can allow your students to do these things by using colored pens. Okay? And breakout rooms, they are especially good for large classes. And when you want to make some pair and group work, speaking and writing activities, you can use breakout rooms. Of course, as a teacher, you can visit, you can join in these rooms in order to check what your students are doing. And here, I have another question. Which of these tools do you think is the most useful and why? Or have you used any of these tools? What are your ideas? You can write or you can tell. Which of these tools do you think is the most useful and why? Or which of these tools have you used so far? Chat box, yes. Screen sharing. Which one is the most useful? Why? Do you have any ideas? Screen share was a must for me, yes. I usually use screen sharing, videos, screen share because I usually use ebooks, yes. Good, I think screen sharing is a very useful tool. It's the most useful one. Screen share and white box, good. Sharing screen, ebook. For older students, breakout rooms, I use the others. I have used nearly all of them, but not breakout rooms because they are in the premium version. From my experience, screen sharing and watch videos, listen to text at the same time. Good. As far as I can see, you mostly use screen sharing. Yes, you use breakout rooms for parent group work. As far as I can understand, you mostly use screen sharing and then maybe a white board, then breakout rooms. Okay, I used whiteboard too, breakout rooms. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your answers. And now the other part of our presentation.
And thank you very much, Özlem Hocam. And now I'll go on for a while. Some activities to be used in online English language teaching lessons. We try to provide you with some activities. I guess you're maybe familiar with some of them. Maybe you are using them, but and for example, breaking news. First, you may choose some current news items which are at your class level, and you can start choosing a news item that's interesting, anecdotal, and lighthearted rather than serious or political ones. We may choose these ones. For example, you can choose a news item about COVID vaccination, online concerts, or latest computer games and the characters in these games. So they will enjoy talking about these items, and maybe later on is a follow-up activity. They may also write about this. And picture prompts can also be used. We may choose a picture that lends itself to the topic of the day, and this can help students activate their prior knowledge about the topic. Depending on their level, you can get your students to do some of these things. For example, say words of things they see, make sentences based on the picture, make some predictions about what will happen next, and relate what they see to their own experience, or answer some questions about the picture. Try to guess what happened 10 minutes ago. You can also show the picture for 2 minutes and then stop screen sharing and ask students to write what they remember about it or talk what they remember about it. And teachers and students can also bring some personal photos, which can be interesting. First, the teacher can show this photo and talk about it. And then the students ask questions about the photo, and later students show their photos and talk about them, and others can guess or ask questions. You may do personalization like this. And I guess you are familiar with this one, flashcard sentences. You can use some flashcards to review vocabulary, grammar, propositions, comparatives, because they are simple ones. They are easy to understand. For example, you can show 2 flashcards and ask students to make a sentence using a comparative adjective, such as car is faster than a bike. And what are you cooking can be another activity. It's useful if you are teaching or talking about food or restaurants, and you write some ingredients and ask students to prepare a 3-course meal with it. They can do it individually or as pairs or groups in breakout rooms. Later, they may share their menu, and if you want, you can make a competition and choose the best menu. And this can be an enjoyable activity again. And
the other one is about if clauses. After, of course, teaching if clause type 2, you can ask such kind of questions to your students. I used it, and generally students are willing to join in It worked well. I hope it works well in your classroom. What would you be if you were an animal, and why? What would you be if you were a flower? Why? You're going to prepare these kind of questions and try to ask students to give their reasons. It activates our students' imagination. Okay. The other one, exchanging experiences. First of all, the teacher talks about his or her own experience, and students can ask questions if they want. And then students talk about their own experiences. For example, where did you go after the earthquake? This is suitable for living in Izmir because as you remember, 3 months ago, we had a huge earthquake, so they can share their experiences. Or what did you do on your last holiday before the pandemic? Where did you go? Or list 3 hobbies from the most to least favorite, or which do you prefer, TV or Netflix? Generally, young people prefer Netflix. You can ask what their favorite series are. You can ask them to talk about the characters in their favorite series. They are really interested in these kind of topics. Disappearing dialogue is another one. First, the teacher shows the whole dialogue and 2 students read it. Then the teacher omits some words from the dialogue and students try to remember the sentences, and another pair tries to read the dialogue by supplying the omitted words, and it goes on until the whole dialogue has been erased. Now we can make a trial here. Can I get 2 volunteers to read this dialogue? And then we're going to have an omitted part. Any volunteers?
Can I?
Yes, who is speaking?
Furkan, I guess.
Me.
Furkan, yes, Furkan, of course. John, let's say Furkan, you're John. And any other volunteers?
Teacher. Yes.
Okay, yes, Mary.
Okay. By the way, can you hear me clearly? Because I'm using can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Shall we start?
Yes, please.
Why weren't you at the school yesterday?
I wasn't really feeling well.
What was wrong with you?
My stomach was upset.
Do you feel better now?
I still don't feel well.
Is there anything I can do?
No, thanks. I took some medicine.
I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now the omitted part. Can I get a different pair to read the part, of course, by supplying the omitted words? Any other volunteers? No one?
As you remembered.
We're going to help you, or your friends, Safa and maybe Furkan, because they read it, they may remember, can help you.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. We are happy to help too.
Thank you. No other volunteers?
Burcu, I think.
Hande and Burcu. Okay, let's take you, John and Mary.
So do we need to say the same things or can we just
Yes,
improvise?
mostly I think the idea is saying the same thing, remembering the exact words, the omitted words.
Okay. So why weren't you at school yesterday?
I wasn't really feeling well.
What's wrong with you?
My stomach was upset.
Do you feel better now?
I still don't feel well.
Is there anything I can do?
No, thanks. I took some medicine.
I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. So it goes on like this until, as we said before, till the whole dialogue has been erased. And don't worry, students will remember because different pairs read again and again the dialogue, but they will remember the omitted words. Okay, and another one is silent video. Students watch the video, but do not hear the sounds with the sounds off, and try to predict what the characters were talking about, what they told each other, what the situation is. Now we're going to make a trial. Just have a look at the video with the sounds off and try to guess. Can I get your guesses? Who are these people? What is she asking? Any guesses?
She might be a stranger, or she might be a tourist.
What's she asking about? Asking for directions.
Most
Yes.
probably directions, because she seems lost.
Okay, yes. What about the third person? Who is he? Asking for directions. Yes, you're writing here also. Any guesses for the third person?
Maybe the second person doesn't know, the one who's on the bicycle, where she is going or she's trying to go. So
Okay.
he's trying to help, maybe.
Okay, you're right. He's the one who knows the way. Yes, you're right. He has a new solution. Yes, why not? Okay, so as you see, there are different guesses. And now let's watch the video with the sounds on in order to check your guesses. From the beginning. Thank you.
Excuse me. Sorry. Do you speak English?
No, I don't. Sorry.
My car's broken down, and I wondered if you could tell me where to find a garage.
Yeah, well, you know, that's wasted on me. I don't understand what you're saying.
You don't speak any English at all.
Not a word. No. It's one of those things where I wish I paid more attention in school. But excuse me. Sorry. Do you speak any English?
English? No. What's the problem?
I don't know. I can't understand it.
Hi. My car's broken down, and I need to find a garage.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that at all.
All right. Well, thanks.
Tell you what, if you go down that way, about half a mile, there's a village. There might be somebody there that speaks English.
Ich speak ein bisschen Deutsch. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Deutsch, nein. Sprichst du Deutsch?
Deutsch? Nun.
Okay, it's like this. You can find these kind of maybe funny videos and the silent video part. Okay, and yes, Berna hocam.
And random phrases, you may show different, different people's faces, and especially interesting people's faces maybe can be better. And ask students to describe and to predict their feelings, their life stories, etc. And in this way, they can describe people both physically, and they can describe their lives also. And maybe this can be a starting point for another activity for improvisation, for writing. And writing in role can also be used. It's particularly motivating for children and can cover a range of purposes and audiences, from diary entry about an event pupils have just experienced through improvisation, to letters from Second World War soldiers to their families, or a list of provisions required for an expedition. So the topics, in fact, the parts, they are endless. Students write a character perspective, and this enables students make inferences about the character's motivation or opinion, provides purposeful and meaningful writing, and develops varied points of view of the same dramatic situation. And another activity can be, how many things can you think of? The teacher gives some ideas for definitions, such as how many things can you think of that work on electricity or are made of paper, wood, or glass. You can use to sit on or make a noise. So this can be good for both creativity and their language skills. And what are they talking about? In fact, the teacher writes some sentences on the whiteboard or in the chat box, and students try to guess what the person is talking about, what sort of person the speaker is, what's the relationship is between the speaker and the person addressed on. And some sample sentences can be, it's awful, let's ask for our money back. I don't approve, if you must, you must. You should have thought of that before, nothing I can do now. So let's try the third sentence. Can you guess what the relationship between the person who is saying this and the person who is addressed, and who are these people? Where are they? Can you guess any of this for the third sentence? You should have thought of that before. Nothing I can do now. Mother and son. Thank you, Edith. Good job. Why not? Mom to kids. It's quite possible. Okay, thank you very much. So this they can make this kind of guesses. Teacher, student, yes. Friend to another friend, yes. Doctor to patients. Why not? Some doctors are saying this kind of things when we don't do whatever they say. Yes, thank you very much. Ayşe Hocam. Boss to worker, elder sister to young brother, yes. These are all quite possible. And
okay. Now, what's the explanation is the other activity. The teacher describes to the students a short situation or event which seems strange or inexplicable. Then students ask some questions in order to find out what the true explanation is. Some examples: the man had been a hostage for 10 years. His wife watched him leave the plane and called to him excitedly. He did not respond. Or everyone around him knew who he was, but no one knew his name. Go away, he said. This made her very happy. Let's try the first one. Can you ask a few questions in order to find the true explanation? The man had been a hostage. His wife watched him, called to him. He did not respond. Any questions? You cannot think of any questions?
Özlem, we have 6 minutes according to this time.
Yes, we
have to be a little bit quick. Okay?
We will, Özlem Hocam and Berna Hocam, we will, when it's closed, I will open it again with the same ID and password, so that you can join.
Okay.
Okay, go on. I don't have time. Okay.
Then I can his wife saw the man on TV because of that he didn't respond. The other activity, 14, activity 14, words within. This can be played as a game in groups, or students can do it individually. The teacher challenges the group to make as many words as they can from the letters of a keyword. For example, unforgettable. There are some rules, of course. New words must have at least 4 letters. Proper nouns are not accepted. And there's a 5-minute time limit. So they try to make new words. A few examples: table, forge, fortune, fort are the other words that can be derived from this keyword. And song activity. The teacher first of all omits some words from the lyrics of a song and screen share it. Then students can listen to this song and try to fill in the blanks. Here, if you ask your students what type of music they like, then you can choose the song accordingly. And most probably students will be more interested in the type of music that they like. Okay. Yes, Berna Hocam.
Yes, and we want to add some games also, maybe if you like them, in order to practice some language items or for enjoyment, we can use. Screen game is normally used in face-to-face education like this. Students become a circle. Everyone at down at the teacher's motion, everyone looks up and looks at someone from the circle. And if
Elife iyi olur. Ben onlara bazen kızarım. There are background voices. Can you mute your microphones? I think Seda Hocam, your microphone is open. Okay.
Okay, if the students catch eyes, they will quit the game by screaming. And in distance education, it's adapted like this. In front of the students, there are colored figures, some English concepts or papers showing numbers. And let's consider colors. Students will have the same colors in front of them. With the teacher's instruction, all students show the camera a color card they choose. Those who show the same color card start screaming or laughing as long as their breath is enough, and the longest screaming gets a score. The game can be repeated as many times as you like. And such as game is another game for distance education. A volunteer becomes a midwife. The midwife turns back to the camera and says a word about feelings such as happy. After saying the words, she returns to the camera. The other participant stands still, creating a happy face expression or sculpture. The midwife tries to make the participants laugh because the word she said was happy. If she cannot make anyone laugh within a certain period of time, she continues to be the midwife. If the midwife makes even a person laugh, that person becomes the midwife, and the word and the feeling can change now. And this game can be played with students who have problems with social emotional skills also. A side objective can be like this. And we try to give some sources. Maybe you are using some of them. British Council's source is a great one, is a rich one. You can find so many activities and exercises about force skills, grammar, etc. And ESLbase.com in teaching resource part, you can find again worksheets, activities, lesson plans, classroom ideas. And English lesson plans with short films is again a very great website, I guess, because it provides both the short film and the lesson plan according to the film. So it's a very good, let's say, source, because everything is quite ready, and it's good for especially, I guess, students' listening and speaking skills. And word art is an online word cloth art creator that enables you to create amazing and unique word cloth art with ease. And this ballerina is an example of it. So generally, the students are reluctant to write in either Turkish or English. So we may make them practice writing with this kind of different sources, I guess. And visual poetry is again similar to word art. You can create mosaics and pictures with words, and this may again motivate students to write in English. And there is an example here. My favorite color is purple. And with Awatune, you can create a digital mini you and explore the virtual universe as an avatar styled and created by you. So this can be adapted to some English objectives, such as describing physical appearance of people.
Elektrik de çalışmıyordu. Neden öyle oldu ki?
And
Berna hocam, we have less than 1 minute. If you want, let's close it and open again. You can, yes, you can enter with same idea and
we are about to finish, but okay.
Okay.